Welcome back, guys. Gaston right here in New York City, and today we're taking the Leica D-Lux A for a spin. We're gonna actually show you what this little device is capable of. One of my favorite travel cameras, very powerful and compact, 24 to 75. We'll talk about some of the features. Let's go. And while we go to the first location, let's talk about some of the features of the Leica D-Lux A. Now, this camera was released about a year and a half, more or less, and it features a micro four thirds sensor with a resolution of usable 17 megapixel because the sensor is actually 21 megapixel. Now, the lens that we have here in this camera is a 24 to 75 millimeters. So you would go with something like this versus a fixed lens camera because of the range that you get in this super compact size. All right, let's talk about pricing and get that out of the way. When I bought mine, this one that I have right here, because I now own two, I paid $1,500, which I consider at that time a very good price for this camera and all the range that we get with the lens. Now, the camera went at one point all the way to $2,800 due to tariffs. I mean, ludicrous. And then they reduced the price to about $1,900, almost $2,000, which is the price that the camera is today. And let's talk about some of the settings that I like to configure this camera before I head out. The focusing mode is the field, as you can see right there. And the reason why I like this mode is because it allows me to enlarge it or make it smaller if I want to by simply pressing the D-pad in any direction. You get those red marks that you see, and then with the thumb wheel, you can make it bigger or smaller. Now, however, this camera is also going to have some of the more advanced features, such as the eyes and face detection. I personally don't even bother with that mode. Now, next, let's talk about the preview mode. And as you can see, my screen is in black and white. For the most part, I always, keep it in that mode. It helps me gauge the exposure a lot better. The one that I use is the black and white high contrast, and you could have a glimpse of what the camera sees right now. The ISO is going to be always in auto, as you can see right there. And right now my shutter speed is 250. I like to keep it as high as possible. If I want to be shooting in this bright light, as you see right now, I would actually let the shutter speed be auto as well. So the camera is going to pick a fast shutter speed, and for that, I just drive the wheel to the auto. And for the most part, those are my settings. We're going to be doing a little bit of silhouette, so let's go. Now, one of the things that I've done now is I moved my focus to manual focus, and that's gonna be a lot better for this type of shots. You can see focus peaking right now, so I have set the distance pretty much where you see, plus my narrow aperture at f5.6. Everything in that plane is gonna be in focus. All right, that was pretty fun actually. And one of the things that I have to highlight is that the usability about this camera when it comes to the menu, the dials, and everything else, it's pretty much the same across all the Leica cameras that I use, SL3, Qs, and the M bodies as well. So that's one of the things that I like about this camera, and at times I even forget which camera I'm using because the user experience is kind of like the best of all the cameras that I've tried in the past. All right, we're gonna try some shots right here. This is some of the stairs that go to the High Line right there. Now my aperture in this shot is about f11, so very, very narrow. So pretty much everything is going to be in focus. You love it. 1, 2, 3. How's everything? Good. Taking some photos, having some great pizza. Thank you. All right, why don't we talk about some accessories to protect the camera and enhance, expand its capabilities. So first one is going to be some sort of filter on the lens. And the one that I have right here is by K&F Concept, is the 1/8 mist filter. And what this filter does, number one, it adds protection to the lens. And mine already has a couple of scratches. Second of all, the 1/8 mist, it adds a little bit of bloom in the highlights, and it kind of like gives me a much more cinematic look. Don't like to use that term, but It kind of like cuts down a little bit of the hardness or the sharpness that a micro four thirds sensor can have sometimes. And last but not least, we have here a grip in the camera, and this one is the one by Leica. It's super light, and the reason why I have it is because I right now have two cameras, the M11 monochrome across my shoulder, and a lot of the times, you know, when I carry two cameras and I just want to whip the camera really quick, I may want to hold the camera in portrait mode. It gives me a little bit better leverage. And before we continue, let's do a strap check, because the strap that I have on my D-Lux is going to be the point and shoot by Al Crown. So this strap features rope, leather, and also this tiny quick release system, suitable for light cameras such as the D-Lux A. You can disconnect, and I can simply switch to this wrist loop that I have in my hand, and this one, let it hang like that when I want to take a shot with my Leica M11 monochrome. Now, if you want to check out these straps, go to allcrown.com, enter code GShutters10 for 10% off on your next order. Back to the video. Another great reason to get this camera as a point and shoot is because out of all the cameras that I try, it's the one with the best battery life. I can just go one battery and pretty much be good for the whole day, and that's something that I don't get with any of the other little cameras that I own. So battery life on the D-Lux A is actually pretty good. Now I want to take a moment to discuss a couple of points that pops in every single video that I've made about this camera, and it is people comparing this camera with the Panasonic LX100 Mark II. So I'm going to give you my own perspective because I own both cameras. But there's one thing that the Panasonic's LX100 Mark II that's better than this camera, and it is the capability of remembering your focal length. So if I extend this lens, let's say to 35 millimeter, for example, and then I turn off the camera, well, the next time that I turn on the camera on the Panasonic, there is an option to remember the last position of the lens. So I hope that Leica would actually introduce that in an upcoming firmware, because it's a very useful feature for this camera. The Panasonic has it. Street travel photographer would appreciate the option. Leica, bring it back. Now, the menus. The menus here are super simple, super easy to access. Your options, the buttons, the navigation, the user interface is second to none on the Leica D-Lux A. Using this camera on M11, SL, Q is the same experience, and that to me is priceless. All right, and right now we're back at Washington Square Park with the Leica D-Lux A, one of the places that I like to shoot a lot. Lots of characters here, lots of things going on, lots of action. Today is Thursday and this place is packed. It's about 4 p.m. All right, my goal for the day is to try to capture some portraits here. Everyone is chilling. I don't want to bother anybody. So yeah, this one is going to be a mini portrait shoot, because I want to ask the person, can I take a portrait of you?
Yes.
Thank you, man. Yeah, with a hat. Thank you, man.
That's fun.
Thanks, man. Can I take a portrait of you? I'm reviewing this camera and I need a good face.
Can we see the work that you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have your Instagram?
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
I do a lot
All right, yeah. What type of camera is that?
This is it's called Leica D-Lux A. Oh, she's the model. So you modeled before, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, 1, 2. 1, 2. Yes. That is the shot. Lower the glasses a little bit so I can see your, oh yeah, there you go. Look at that talent. Oh, and for that portrait with the girls right there, I had my field autofocus point to the smallest, so I nailed that box in the eye. My aperture was f1.7. You guys have seen the results, so that's kind of like how I changed from f11 for portraits to something, you know, open wide. Control the shutter speed, I think I was at 500 when I took that picture. Wow. What's up, my friend? Oh, that's awesome.
Watch, yeah, open your hand. Open your hand like this.
Oh. No. Woo! So let's talk a little bit about autofocus. You saw that picture that I was taking, this guy shuffling the cards. And I have to say, this camera is not gonna have the blazing fast autofocus that you are gonna find on a Sony camera. However, if you have patience and you dial the settings properly, I never have problems focusing with this camera. And remember, focusing is not just having great autofocus. A lot of the time it's leveraging a lot of the tools you have in your arsenal, like zone focusing at times, you know, making your aperture a little bit more narrow and so on. So right there, I was at f1.7 and using that focusing point that I mentioned before, you're not gonna have any problems. I'll take a picture of you.
I just want to see you still footage.
You look beautiful. So guys, this one is gonna wrap it up for me. Leica D-Lux, very small, compact, powerful, great battery life, 24 to 75. And this is a camera that sometimes I don't even think about it. Toss it in my camera bag. My main shooter usually is at 35 millimeters. This one captures everything in between. And a lot of the times, my favorite shots of the day come from this little camera. Big shout out to Leica New York. So if you wanna check out this camera, go over there. The guys are gonna tell you everything you need to know about this camera. And for all your strap needs, also go to allcrown.com and also Leica New York, BH Photo, Camera House, and more. Until then, guys, I'll see you in the next video.